everybody, and welcome back to your weekly PlayStation podcast, Talking the PS, for episode number 7, where we round up all of the PlayStation and cloud gaming news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games, or up there in the digital clouds on your podcast preference of choice. This week, you join us for another fantastic episode breaking down all of your PlayStation Plus games for the month of August. Black Panther single-player games in the works, alongside news on Grand Theft Auto 6, Assassin's Creed, and some PlayStation firmware and hardware features just on the horizon. You're joining myself, Chris, for another fantastic show, alongside my two lovely co-hosts again, once again returning, the man of many pixels. Welcome back.
Hello, everyone.
And alongside him, our chaotic neutral, Rob, as well. Welcome.
Hello, good to be back.
Good to be back. Good to be here. It's a busy, busy week for PlayStation news. As always, we reach the end of the month. We get a slew of new games, new releases on the horizon, and it makes for a fantastic show when you intend to talk about PlayStation, everyone. So, for those watching along at home, don't forget to give the video a like, click that bell and subscribe so you're kept in the loop with all of the amazing content we do here at Helix Cloud Games, like our weekly live streams with you, the amazing community out there, our multiple podcasts from a Google Stadia podcast, just about to reach 150 episodes in a row, our weekly live streams, as I said, and our CloudQuest Show, where we take a deeper dive into a different cloud gaming subject. It's all available, it's all here on the channel, and if you want to support us a bit more, you can join us and become a Helix hero from as little as 99 pence, where you get loads of that stuff early. Sometimes we shadow drop it, sometimes we keep it, sometimes we let members in on secrets that we don't even tell you about. So, join us from as little as 99p. Become a Helix hero today for perks, benefits, and early access. But gentlemen, we are here to talk about PlayStation. But before we do dive into all the PlayStation Weekly news, Richie, how is your adventures through the world of Japan going?
Japan?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I was thinking this stuff just being most recently I've been playing Stray. I took a break from Ghost of Tsushima to play Stray, but I'm doing well with Ghost of Tsushima. I'm hoping to get back into it this weekend because I haven't played since last weekend. Yeah, it's good.
Is Stray set in Japan as well, do we think?
No, that's why I was confused, because I've been playing Stray.
But it is like a Tokyo-esque inspired world. That's what I gathered from it.
It has like a bit of an aesthetic, doesn't it?
Inspired, but it's its own place. It could be set anywhere.
Well, maybe we'll find out in the sequel, because that game is undoubtedly going to get one after the crazy success it's having this past week.
Yeah.
Enjoying Stray?
I am. I'm going to go for the platinum. I've just got like 2 trophies. Well, 3 trophies, but one of them is just literally don't do anything for an hour, so it doesn't really count.
Sounds like my weekend plans.
Yeah.
In terms of the trophies, have you got the hard ones yet? Because I know a lot of our viewers and listeners out there will be slightly aggravated by one of them in particular.
Yeah, there's a certain one which I'm sure everyone will know the one I'm talking about in the second chapter. Mm-hmm. It's pretty. I haven't got that one, and then it's speedrun. Speedrun will be probably my last one I go for.
Yeah, it seems. Let's keep it in the bank just in case, because.
But it literally will take 2 hours. So
yeah, you know exactly how long it's going to take if you pass. Now, we should share with the audience as well. You did attempt the 2-hour speedrun already.
I did.
And tell the lovely people, Richie, what time you clocked in for this 2-hour speedrun.
2 hours and 2 minutes.
But that's painful.
This was, to be fair, I split up my game time across like 3 days, and then when I went for the speed, after I rolled credits, I just went straight into the speed run without like kind of thinking about it. And then there's a couple of things in like chapter 4, which is like one of the biggest chapters, where I did have to stop and look up guides to try and figure out what I needed to do because I couldn't remember. Yeah, and I was mashing through the text. So
yeah, you need that momentum to take you through it.
I reckon second attempt, it'll be easy.
Yeah, I clocked in at about 1 hour 45, and I thought I was a lot closer, but there must be points when it doesn't count, maybe in the pause screen and stuff, so it like kind of tallied up. But yeah, I have faith in you, Richie. I have a faith, especially in the can't catch me trophy or catch you trophy. I'm waiting for a few angry messages throughout the week as you try and attempt to not get jumped on by the bad creature things.
The thing is, though, I think if I next time I sit down to do it, if I don't do it, I think I'll just move on and not bother with the platinum, because it's a pain. It's just a pain, and it's like it feels just random. It's not like you can like learn a pattern or how you interacting with the game. It just feels like if you get lucky, you're good.
Well, me and Jeff both have it. Just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Jeff, of course, our other host. I'm sure he'll have the platinum by now. I think I'm going to go for it on PlayStation 4 as well, just because I did it on stream and I popped a few trophies, which irritated me, rather than it sit there in my menu at like 5%, 10%. I know I can do it and it doesn't take too long, so I'll enjoy it.
Are you going to speedrun it?
I'm thinking of doing the speedrun on stream, because as you said, I know I've got a 2-hour window, which is like the perfect window for a stream, so keep tuned, keep locked to the channel for that one. Rob, how about you? You're a well, I was going to say you're a fan of cats, but it's more dogs, actually.
You're definitely more of a dog guy.
I don't know why I don't know why I associated you with cats immediately then, because you've never had one.
He loves the musical.
He's just an animal lover all around. Are you playing Stray?
Yeah, I mean, that cat's movie. I haven't actually got into it yet. It's been on my list this week, but I made the mistake of starting to play The Forest in my Steam back catalogue. Yeah. And that just kind of... I haven't had much time for gaming this week, and that just sucked whatever tiny reserve I had. So it's all been The Forest this week, which I forgot how good that game is. It's such a immersive sequel,
kind of due out maybe this year, early next year at some point. I think I've definitely seen it bandied around.
I think I might have been more like something sparked it in my head to kind of play it, and I think that was it. So I've just been enjoying that this week, so no Feline Adventures quite yet.
Have you guys seen the mods online where people are already altering on the PC version? So there's a guy online who will import your cat into the game, and he's actually taking commission on. You can pay him to make your cat in the game. I've seen some people implement co-op, so you can play through the game together with somebody else. It must just duplicate the gameplay or something. And I've seen one where they took CJ from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and made him walk around on all fours in the game, because that's what PC modders do, folks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning, I think, for that craze. But of course,
do you think there's a line where like Big Smoke kind of like just chastises you for not climbing a pipe or something?
There's got to be something.
Has anyone modded in all the little robots to be Thomas the Tank Engine?
It'll happen. It's something like that.
Because there's something about Thomas the Tank Engine and PC modders that they just seem to love each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, later this year, we're expecting Choo Choo Charles to come out, which is the evil spider train game where you're on an island and the train has spider legs and an evil face, and it hunts you while you look for resources and avoid cults on the island who worship the tank engine. So there's definitely a Thomas. I'm pretty sure it's inspired by the Thomas the Tank Engine, like imported in a Resident Evil mod. But that game looks scary, but actually quite good at the same time. I'm looking forward. The dev actually on his YouTube channel is showing how he's making the game. Like every week he posts like a new blog about rendering assets and bringing in new things and what he's altered and what he's tweaked and stuff. He actually let his fans name the cult within the game who worship the tank engine. So it's quite good. Nice. It's an interesting couple of videos to watch through. But folks, we're of course here to talk about all the PlayStation news, and what a busy week in PlayStation news there is. So before we dive into all that, Richie, could you do us the honours of introducing us to the
properly prepared PlayStation perusing points, aka the news.
Busy week for PlayStation news, of course, as I mentioned. End of the month, which means we get a slew of new games, kicking things off with none other than Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, of course, the very well received remake from Activision Blizzard that came out, I want to say last year, but it might have been a bit earlier than that. It seems like it hasn't been out too long anywhere. Either way, if you're a fan of skateboarding or not, jump into this classic, iconic game remade from the ground up, featuring the fantastic music soundtrack that you enjoy alongside all of the Pro Skaters, levels and tricks. They're back in a fully remastered mode. Richie, I'll throw this one over to you because you are the biggest Tony Hawk's Pro Skater fan that I know, and I do know that you actually bought the game when it came out. This is a great get for PlayStation Plus.
Absolutely. I mean, I love the soundtrack as well. Literally, Rage Against the Machine just started playing in my head as soon as you started to introduce this topic. But you can't go wrong with it if you're a fan of like arcadey style games where it's like get the biggest score, or you played the games when you're younger. It's a perfect remake. It's exactly what you want from the remake. Play it. Good.
Was it true to its original then? Like, did you pick it up and did you get that nostalgia initially, or was it that different?
Yes, absolutely. One of the biggest things about Tony Hawk's is how the game feels to play, and that's where I think they've went wrong in the later games. It feels like exactly how you'd want the Tony Hawk's game to play. It feels like probably back on the PS1 days, how you thought it felt. However, it's clearly a lot better.
So they've replicated.
But all the levels and goals are pretty much the same. There's some extra stuff in there. There's a lot more cosmetics and stuff, but yeah, a lot more challenges in there, which I need to go back and play more of it, actually.
Well, you can now. There'll be a big influx. Of course, I've just realised it was September 2020 that came out, Richie, which it doesn't seem like long ago, but evidently it was coming up 2 years, which is insane. So if you did hold off, it's there to play now. Rob, back in the day, were you... I can't recall if you were into the skater phase with me and Richie, or that was something that passed by.
Well,
were the games
we definitely
as well?
got. Oh yeah, the games massively. I played more Tony Hawk's 4 than I played all the other games. I think just because of the timing wise when that came out. But the only reason I'm not excited about the remake coming on to PlayStation Plus is because I put so many hours into it in 2020 on the remake that I think I've done most of what there is to be done in the game.
You collected all the letters, did you? Skate.
Oh yeah, I went
I've
crazy.
still got loads of stuff actually I could do to do all the different challenges for all the different skaters, try and go for the platinum and stuff. But it was one of them, I binged it, like when it first came out, and then I've just occasionally I'll pick up and play a bit since.
Yeah. But as you were saying, Richie, like Tony Hawk, like the pro skater games are such like a integral part to my like teenage identity.
Yeah.
Like
Tony Hawk's 4
one of
is
my
the same
top
for me.
Yeah, like one of my top playlists on Spotify is the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater playlist because it's just the one I listen to by default all the time. It's
Yeah,
I love
yeah. We were saying it's kind of with skateboarding, it kind of goes around in waves, and it was definitely a kind of a formative part, I think, of our late teens, early 20s when it was all the hype, and whether it was the musical cultural influence or a combination of everything. Like for me, I associate a lot of that stuff with like watching Jackass and stuff as well, because so many of them were in the skater scene, and like you said, then there's the music that comes with it, and it was just the perfect soundtrack.
Yeah, when you're growing up as a teenager, and we came in like skating seems to go in this kind of wave thing, whereas like when we were like 13, it was very much big. Jackass was huge, and like I was already into like pop punk music and stuff, and then he's a game that has all of that combined.
Yeah, just kind of like your channel.
And a voiceover by Bam Margera as well.
Yeah.
Just
was
in the game.
Was that in the remake, or did they take it out for reasons?
I think I was only in.
Bam came in late. He wasn't in 1 and 2. I think he came. Might have been in 3. He was definitely in 4.
Yeah.
Can you still get the Spider-Man outfit, or is that not in this one? I feel like there might have been a legal thing this time round, whereas there was.
I think Iron Man was in one of them as well.
Well, obviously Activision made some of the PlayStation Spider-Man games originally, so I think there was just that kind of cross-licensing because the same studio was working on them. But
was it 4 or Underground that had an entire level dedicated to Kiss?
4. It might have been 4. But yeah, unlockables and secrets and stuff aside, I've got big like loads of memories about like Alcatraz Island and that kind. And again, as someone who could never figure out skateboarding in real life, I always put it down to being too tall and sending commands from my head to my feet. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't even master like an ollie or anything. So I gave up on that and switched to cars quite quickly. But I still enjoy like the concept. So yeah, many hours just dicking around in Tony Hawk's, and I didn't buy it when it came out. So to get this as a freebie. As part of PlayStation Plus, it's fantastic. It is the PS4 and PS5 version as well, so you get the best version to pick up and play along the way. Moving on, though, that's not the only game you get for this month, guys. You also get Yakuza Like a Dragon. So the second game up this month takes us to the JRPG world. Well, not JRPG, it's an action RPG from Japan. You play as a low-ranking grunt in the Yakuza family in Tokyo, and you return to society after serving 18 years for a crime you didn't commit. You get to uncover the truth behind the family's betrayal while exploring and fighting your way across modern-day Japan. Build a party of a ragtag group of society's outcasts, spend time with them, unlock new abilities, combo skills, and take your time to immerse yourself and go through karting, arcade games, and over 50 sub-stories. The Yakuza franchise, I have never played one, and it seems to be this thing that it only seems to get bigger every single year, and more people rave about the games every single year, but there's so many of them now, I don't even know where to start.
I'm the same. I think Like a Dragon might actually be a good place to start. I don't know. I need to do a bit more research on the Yakuza, because it's one of them that I do feel like as a franchise, it's a long-running franchise, but I feel like it's picking up a bit of pace and momentum in the West.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually quite excited for this because, well, to be fair, it's the only one of the August monthly games that I don't already own, either on this platform or another platform. And I do like my JRPGs.
Yeah, like I said, it's weird because it's not what I would refer to as a classic JRPG, but it very much is an RPG based around Japan's culture and society. So it needs like another sub-name. Rob, what's your history with the Yakuza franchise, if any?
Exactly the same as you guys. So, I've had like a click around since like it got announced for PlayStation Plus, because to be honest, like the entire franchise passed me by, and you get there's a lot more buzz on it for the announcement for PlayStation Plus than I thought there would be at first. So that's kind of like just giving me like the impetus to jump into it. But I think like in the past, like you've had GTA, you've had Saints Row kind of really occupying that like gangster kind of rising through the ranks type of game. So again, yeah, I've just kind of missed out on it. But out of all the games for PlayStation Plus, that's the one I'm going to look at next, I think.
Yeah. I feel it's one of them that falls in the category of games I'd be interested in playing at some point. So it's on your radar, but you never seem to pull out the checkbook, pull out the credit card and buy it. It coming to PlayStation Plus is the perfect thing to like kind of go, is this a franchise I'm going to get more invested in?
Yeah, I mean, presumably there's like it's got legs, because what's it up to now? Like,
they're working their way through like remasters and remakes, like Resident Evil now. So they're almost every other year there's a release, but it's not a new release; it's a remake. And then they did Yakuza
I think
Zero.
they realise it's a franchise that's been probably it hasn't broke through, but if they give it that bit of a push, and like a Dragon's turn-based as well, so that is more closer to what you'd think of as a traditional JRPG. Where I think the rest of the franchise is more of a beat 'em up style.
Yeah, I think Like a Dragon got a bit of criticism from the old school fans, saying like it's not a Yakuza game, but then it being not a numbered entry almost gives it that excuse to do something different.
It gives it the pass.
In another way. But all well reviewed, all well revered, and again, like you said, Rob, it kind of gives you that urge to check them out. And as a side note to this story as well, we should also point out PlayStation put out another blog post shortly after the PlayStation Plus announcement games, saying that in addition to your PlayStation Plus lineup for August, Sony were also announcing that every mainline Yakuza game will be coming to PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium by the end of the year. So this starts this month with Like a Dragon, with the first entry level tier, and then throughout August you're going to see another batch. So we're going to get Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami, and Yakuza Kiwami 2. Later on in the year, we're going to get Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, will be added to Extra and Premium. And the highest tier, Premium, also is going to get Yakuza 3 Remastered, Yakuza 4 Remastered, Yakuza 5 Remastered as well. So this is where the tier system gets a bit confusing, because some are coming to some aren't to all. But essentially, it seems like Sony have struck a deal with Sega to get anything and everything Yakuza related onto this PlayStation Plus in some capacity. So if we're gonna get in this month, what a time to get in with this franchise.
The
it's
Kiwami
an interesting
stuff.
Tactic.
Yeah, just
do you think it's like? Go on.
The Kiwami games are they are the remake games.
So what are the remasters?
I don't think there is remasters. It's just remakes.
Yeah,
the later stuff might be remasters, but like Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza Kiwami 2 are remakes of the first and second games.
Right. So then it says in the article later on this year is Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 remastered. So Kiwami 1 and 2 remakes, and then 3, 4, 5 are probably more current, the only merit of remaster.
Yeah.
But essentially we'll have everything. And like you were saying, Rob, a great approach, right? From a business lens. From, I guess, Sega are clearly happy with whatever money PlayStation are giving them, and as a fan getting in,
so, right?
It's like, what better time than just, as long as you've got your sub to the end of the year, you can play everything. So
there's rumours Like a Dragon 2 is not far out, probably next year. So this is, I think, is a good move for Sega. It's a franchise that's picking up a bit of momentum. Let's give everyone everything, so they can get invested in the franchise, play through the stories, and go, yeah, I'm going to buy that day and date.
Yeah, and with this franchise as well, it's probably, I'd imagine, not know much about it, it's probably a lot bigger in Japanese markets than it is Western.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's probably what's fueled the growth. So maybe this is just what it needs to get that kind of penetration in, like in the US and Europe.
I think there might be like 8 mainline titles, and you don't get that far without it being big somewhere.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah, it is an interesting tack they're taking, splitting the franchise up between tiers on PlayStation Plus. That's I think that might rub some people the wrong way. I can see exactly why they're doing it, but there might be a bit of friction on that with some people.
Because that's obviously as a business lens, you want people to enjoy, say, 1 and 2, and then when 3 comes to the next tier up, you want to have garnered that interest for someone to go, you know what, I'll pay the extra X amount per month to get the new game because I can see the value in that now. But at the same time, it's almost like gatekeeping it between paywalls. But at the end of the day, it's a business, right? So no surprise. So if you are interested in the Yakuza games, folks, then don't have to wait too long. Dropping, it's usually the 4th or 5th. Did they actually give a date for when these games are available? August 2nd, so it's to September the 6th, so it's actually a stretched out month this time around, but we'll take it. Final game for your PlayStation Plus libraries for the month of August is one of my little favourites, and that is Little Nightmares. Immerse yourself in the world of Little Nightmares, a dark, whimsical tale that will confront you with your childhood fears. Help 6 escape the Maw, a vast, mysterious vessel inhabited by corrupt souls looking for their next meal. As you progress on your journey, explore the most disturbing dollhouse, offering a prison to escape from and a playground full of secrets to discover. Reconnect with your inner child to unleash your imagination and find the way out. Richie, we've played through Little Nightmares 2 on stream together.
Yeah.
For Halloween.
What was it, 1 and 2? I can't remember which one.
I did
was
one.
I on both?
I did one on my own.
Yeah.
Where I wore a yellow anorak like the protagonist does. For some stupid reason, I thought I'll buy an anorak from Amazon, and it was sweaty and stuck to my skin. I didn't wear it the whole stream. That was one Halloween, and then you and me jumped in with Little Nightmares 2 when it came to Google Stadia for free with Pro, and streamed that last Halloween, I think, maybe one of the Halloweens. Yeah. Either way, Little Nightmares coming to PlayStation Plus. Odd time of year to release it, I think. Halloween horror games in summer, when everyone's outdoors playing and everything's sunshiny and happy. I always feel like these drops work best in the winter months, when everyone's locked indoors and they want to be scared. But Little Nightmares, fantastic little game. You can finish it in about 4 to 5 hours, in realistically. But it reminds me of basically if Tim Burton made a game that was a puzzle platformer, this is the kind of output you would expect to get. And it's very creepy moments, very interesting, fun puzzles, and tells a great story. So definitely worth checking out. Either of you two played it? Obviously, Richie, we played 2 fully through. Did you both check out the first one? It's quite old now.
I watched you stream it, so I haven't played through myself. But it's one of them games. I think if you've seen I don't want to say if you've seen it streamed, you shouldn't play it, because you should. But yeah, it's what for me is like, I don't feel I need to play this game because I've already experienced it vicariously through you.
Yeah. How about you, Rob?
It's one of those games I'll download, I can kind of like claim with the best of intentions, probably never going to pay. Like, I'll never play it. Yeah. But it'll sit in the library, and I'll look at it every now and again and go, next week.
Tonight's not the night.
Yeah, we've all got them games. When you started saying that description, I was like, I know exactly the type of games that I've done the exact same thing too, and they get pushed further down my library, further down before they're no longer visually on the list. And like I said, when there's a promo or something, just brings it up, like the sequel comes out, you go, oh yeah, I do remember buying that for like $1.99, $2.99 when it was on offer, or claiming it, as you said, and just time gets in the way.
I've literally had Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Middle-earth Shadow of War, but installed on my PS5 since I've had the console. I refuse to delete them because I will play them.
Oh, they're so good as well, both of them. But that does bring us to an end for your 3 PlayStation Plus games to claim. Of course, the way the cadence seems to be working with PlayStation Plus, we'll probably get another mid-month announcement for the premium and extra tiers, which will give us another few additional games. We don't know if, like last month, that's going to be some more Ubisoft Classics titles, as we know they're going to aim for 50 by the end of the year, so that is going to flesh out the library to some degree, or it might be just a surprise. But again, the cadence for this rollout is still very weird. Like, anything can happen. We get mid-month, start of the month, different tiers across 3, and then you've got, it's weird. I quite happily would take some more of the classic PlayStation games because we haven't really had many from the PS1 or 2 yet, which it is what it is. Moving on though, next story of the week brings us to the world of Wakanda and Marvel Comics. The big rumour circulating this week is that Black Panther is going to be getting an open world game that is in the works at a new studio being helmed by EA. Of all people, EA. Gentlemen, Black Panther from EA. Rob, Black Panther, of course, Wakanda Forever, just got its trailer this past week, so there is a lot of hype around this IP as such from the movie cinematic universe. How does a single-player Black Panther game work for you?
I'm cautiously optimistic about this. The big kind of qualifier is that it's EA, so who knows what kind of...
That's why there's a cautiously in there.
Who knows what kind of things are going to be in an EA title, which annoy you. But the thing that's really appealing to me is it's from what I've read, it's kind of you coming up and kind of earning the mantle of Black Panther, as opposed to just getting dumped into a game where like you're already a superhero, I guess. Like that kind of really appeals to me because one of the reasons I couldn't particularly get into the Avengers game, and like it felt like you got dumped in the middle of a story, as opposed to like the clear beginning or the end. And I think, again, if it is true, like that Black Panther's going to be more kind of rising up the ranks and kind of earning your place, and that's really appealing to me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but there's always that asterisk next to the EA Presents Black Panther title.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they're starting off with like, right, this is the start of your journey as the Black Panther, because it does. I mean, it's clearly making room for like sequels and stuff. But if this is going to be like an open world like action RPG, you know when you get usually your standard 3 different like talent trees, I think they just kind of write themselves. You got one like the heart-shaped like mystical ability stuff. You got 2. You got the vibranium suit stuff, and 3 stealth. Stealth with a Black Panther could be great, like stalking through like the trees of like. I think it could be it has the potential. This an IP has the potential, I think, to be an absolutely amazing game. And unlike a lot of superheroes, where like traversal becomes a huge like, imagine how hard Insomniac probably had to work to get Spider-Man to feel right. I don't think you'll have such the same problem with Black Panther because it's not as such as it'll have quite a unique way of moving, especially when you're stealthing. But I don't know. I just think things like something like Iron Man, I think the controls would be very difficult to do very well. I think Black Panther could work quite easy.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of good points in there. We should also point out as well that it's the project is being headed by ex-Monolith director, so a guy who's worked on Shadow, as you mentioned, Richie, Shadow of Mordor, Middle of Earth, and Shadow of War. So in terms of like traversal and such, very Assassin's Creed inspired. I think there's a good few points you've mentioned there in terms of just the scope of the game. I think the skill tree writes itself, as you're right. We've got a world in Wakanda. You've got to imagine the bulk of the story is going to take place there. And for me, I think it's a hero that we've not really been oversaturated with. Like, we know the comics have been for years, but he's only ever been introduced in the MCU and then other kind of spin-off things and cartoons and comics. But realistically, as a fan of the MCU, I don't know much outside of Wakanda and what I've seen in the movies. So to give me a game with a backstory in a essentially a brand new world, it's not just New York again, it's not a fictional San Francisco, it's literally a brand new world. And villains, characters, gameplay. I think I love the thought, Richie, of it having some stealth as well. That hadn't even crossed my mind. I just thought immediately action. Yeah. But yeah, like he could does he creep through the grass? Does he have like different stealth mechanics? And
yeah, Shadow of Mordor had stealth.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see him, like I can envision it in my mind, him like stalking through the trees, like at night to like take down like a base or something. Like I kind of it's EA. I'm thinking like it's going to be probably fairly cookie cutter in terms of what the game is, but with like a Marvel skin. But if they do it well, that whole action RPG open world, here's some camps that you need to there's collectibles and stuff. Could be. They make amazing games.
Yeah, they really do.
I do hope they put some effort into making like this, like if they do go down like the stealth mechanics route, which surely there must be, I do hope they put a bit of effort into make him feel quite unique as in terms of movement, because my worry with the like the connection to Monolith and stuff like that is that it could come up being very similar to like the Shadow of War games, which is fine. The games themselves are great, but I would like to see a bit of kind of uniqueness to it if you want.
Yeah, you have to. Like, I think it's like one of them when you're just running around the level. He's just a guy in a suit, but when he's stealthing, he needs to feel very feline.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, he's kind of somewhere between the Shadow of War combat and I'd say the Batman Arkham combat, where is close and Stray. Sprinkle a bit of Stray in there as well. I want him climbing up on pipes. But yeah, like the takedowns he's got should feel brutal because of like the type of fighting style he's got. But you're totally right. There's an element of that. Actually, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's what I'm picturing because of that. A lot of that takes place in like jungle environments. Ironically enough, there's a scene where Lara is actually confronted by a panther. And that's I think probably why I've got that visual like link. But the world of creeping through, climbing through the trees, stalking through long grass, like you want that to play a key part in taking down the enemies and such. So much can happen, and I think EA, they're almost like I know Richie on the other podcast we lament Ubisoft's fortunes at the moment quite a lot, and EA have almost the success they've seen with Jedi Fallen Order. Because this is a new studio that they're creating to build on that success. We know it's going to look gorgeous. Just game engines alone today. EA do not put out ugly games, like full stop. They just don't. And Jedi Fallen Order, the success of that, I think, is making them now kind of reassess their approach. And I think getting a license that's, as I said, quite a new IP we've never seen in gaming before. We don't have 10 iterations like Spider-Man to compare it to. It's literally quite a fresh new hero. Loads of hype behind it because of the movies. Like if you go look at the Black Panther trailer now, it's probably got like 7-8 million views as of like this day. It could ride a huge wave of success, and I'm glad it's just not another hero we've seen time and time again.
I'm thinking going back. You mentioned Jedi Fallen Order. That game seemed to completely save EA's relationship with Disney as well. Because at the time, before that game came out, there's rumours that Disney was just going to pull the Star Wars IP and bye-bye EA. And now, Disney's Marvel as well. So if Marvel are going, yes, you can use this IP, I'm guessing there's a pretty decent pitch.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, they're looking to branch out into plenty of other things as well. So we'll keep our eyes on that one, of course. It's just a rumour at the moment, no official announcement, and no doubt with the studio being newly created, we are probably looking at a good couple of years before we actually see anything major from this. So we'll temper our expectations for now, but who knows what it holds. Wakanda forever. Moving on to the next big story of the week, we have some rumours coming out from Rockstar. We reported on it a few weeks back that they decided to stop looking at a Red Dead Redemption remake and stop looking at remaking Grand Theft Auto 4, and after the failed kind of botched launch of the remastered games. And now we're starting to see some trickles of Grand Theft Auto 6 potentially being at least 2 years away, but they've got improved conditions. Over at Bloomberg, Jason Schreier's reported that from within Rockstar, the company is looking at reshaping the team since Dan Houser moved on from Red Dead Redemption 2. And subsequently, there's a few little trickles coming out that we're going to be taking part in it. We're going to actually be returning to the world of Vice City with a female protagonist being part of the crew. So I don't think it'll be just a female. I think it'll be a collection of people like the last one had. And leaning into
two from what I've...
I think two individuals. Yeah. And it's going to start taking shape probably over the next year or so. I mean, it's probably been in production for so long now. But yeah, it's interesting to see that we might actually see the return to Vice City, which is my favourite of the entries so far. And I honestly, give me as many different protagonists, because I think I've seen a few people out there this week say like, oh, female protagonist, and I'm thinking like, well, I love playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I love playing the Lara Croft games, and it's almost like they act as though we've never had a female protagonist in big AAA games. And I'm like, actually, there's a lot of them if you actually take like big tentpole flagship. If you actually take a second,
we've had female protagonists since Samus Aran in there from the NES.
But there's always some like professional outrage people, especially like some like anti-woke person who's like, no, this is too far. They're taking away some dick jokes and they're putting a female protagonist in. This is disgraceful. Like, God, shut up. Just
my personality hasn't changed since I was 12. That sort of person.
Yeah.
like it.
Of course, they are going to have to look at just kind of what their approach with this one. I think the biggest issue they've had is usually these Grand Theft Auto games have a big play on the satire of the state of America right now. And I think one of the biggest things they've actively said is the problem is how do you make fun of like things like the government and stuff when they've had so many real world issues. I think obviously the Donald Trump administration, which they would have normally made lots of jokes at, was quite hard to follow when there was so much humour around his kind of presidential reign anyway. Like they're saying it's hard to make fun of something that's already making fun of themselves.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's like there's a lot of stuff that Donald Trump did, and our government's been no better over the last like 10 years. Where you kind of go like, if you sat down to write this as like a TV show, you go, that's not realistic.
Mm-hmm. It's played out in real life. Yeah, it's a hard one, and a lot of obviously the content, the way society's evolved since again, the last Grand Theft Auto came out nearly 10 years. Well, yeah, nearly 10 years ago. So the way the kind of society in the world is right now, it's you can't really make missions centered around maybe going and killing police officers all the time, or racism like tinged throughout it and stuff like that, or like sexual predators and stuff. It's not quite as funny as it may have been back in the day. Kind of, not that it was funny back in the day, but the way comedy's evolved and changed, and certain topics are a bit more taboo than they were, and making a game centered around
and
that
stuff change, like society changes. Like,
even the people making the game, the developers themselves, will probably be putting pen to paper and going, that's not as funny as it probably once was. Like, we can't have that in the game because, let's face it, this game's going to sell gangbusters. It's going to have all eyes on it. And, they're obviously going to have to make some changes to fit along with it. Yeah. So, but, happy with Vice City.
One of the nicest things I've read in that article really is the news where they're going to kind of lay off the crunch working towards launch, which I think I was reading some kind of reports for Red Dead 2, and it was kind of like 100-hour work weeks were the norm in the run up, and like Rockstar doesn't need, like, they're not running out of money where they need to crunch that hard. So it's good that they're kind of trying to put things in place, whether it's a PR thing or not. I don't know, but
they came under a lot of criticism for that, and I can't remember where I can't remember the original source, but I heard it on Kind of Funny Games Daily that Rockstar was described as a boys' club that's now operating as a professional company. So I think there's been that seemingly internal culture change at Rockstar, which is obviously going to be reflected in the games, and hopefully developers won't be burnt out to hell every time they release a game, that they can take the time, do it properly, and then be excited to work on the next project rather than going, I need to take a break, I need to go somewhere else for a couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, like, having a small business myself, I know there's times, like, the smaller the company, or the more indie the dev team, the more pressure you'll get in certain kind of time periods. But Rockstar, it's just not necessary for a company.
You're not a small company. A small company, there's a bit of expectation sometimes when shit hits the fan, everyone piles in, gets it done, even outside your job description, then everyone goes back to normal working. But with crunch, when crunch was the norm in the gaming industry, it's like something like that should not be the norm. If you have to crunch for your staff working like 2.5 times what they're contracted to do every single week on the run up to a game release, just put it back.
It's video game development such an odd one because it involves so many moving parts as opposed to say like a movie where you've got, obviously everyone has the certain roles and stuff, but one little change of code can mess up everyone else's input, and whereas if you're doing a movie and like say someone doesn't have the lighting right, it can be amended and stuff and changed and reshot and whatever. But not that it's apples to oranges, but lots to go on. And of course, Grand Theft Auto 6 will of course be the biggest news. Whenever they reveal it, they drop a trailer, it's going to be all over the place. And I'm going to buy it day one, hands down, without even seeing anything about it. So, and as will the rest of the world. I think Grand Theft Auto 5 is at like 165 million copies sold now. So they'll make their money back in day one. I think they did last time.
It's like I'd pre-order it now if I could, just because I know I'm gonna.
Yeah, everyone's going to play it.
It's a safe bet.
100%. Yeah. So, unlike the next story of the week, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, which was revealed last year, being made by Aspyr. It turns out, gentlemen, that the Force is not with Aspyr on this one. Rumours and news came out this week that the remake is in serious trouble and it's been delayed indefinitely. After last week, the Aspyr team showcased the game to Sony and teams at Disney, and there was a dramatic response that came from it, where the lead directors were immediately removed from their positions, and the staff were told that it's on pause at the moment. So obviously, well revered game, Knights of the Old Republic, one of the best games of all time. They did target a launch date of late 2022. But the target now, as Richie was joking with crunch, but apparently a more realistic target is apparently rumoured to be 2025. So this game, clearly, they took it in to show off what they've been working on, and this is almost like the teacher turning around and going, go back and start again.
Oh, it's one of them moments where it feels like, from what I've heard, they seemed like optimistic about it when they took it in, and then they all got fired. What the hell did you do?
Like if imagine if they just took in the wrong copy, like they took in the original version, or like, oh, is that the right one? It's like, oh shit, too late. Was this a Prince of Persia situation? It sounds worse than that, to be fair. Like, I know the Prince of Persia game got handed over to another team, but yeah, the rumours here is apparently Aspyr are just scrambling to find a new project. Saber Interactive are apparently, who are all part, so they're all part of the Embracer Group, which is another thing. Like, they've been recently acquired over the last year or so. Saber Interactive brought in, of course, Saber Interactive probably got a bit of spare time right now since CD Projekt Red took them off the Witcher 3 port and took it all in-house, so obviously based in Russia, Saber Interactive. But yeah, Aspyr looking for a new project. It's on hold indefinitely, supposed to come out later this year. PlayStation exclusive, remember, as well, so there's some big money probably behind this for the rights and exclusivity, because in my mind, Knights of the Old Republic was an Xbox-focused thing for a long, long time. So it's a big power move as well. And it's a massive project, of course. It's got that franchise. We know what Disney are like, as we mentioned earlier on with EA, Richie. Something's clearly not right with this remake. And I think you've joked before, Richie, how do you mess up a remake? Because the core elements of the game are already there. You just need to polish it up.
Yeah. I wonder, I'm looking through their list, and they seem to have, Aspyr seem to have largely done ports for other games. Like a lot of ports to Switch, some Linux ports of things like Civilization. I wonder if they just don't have that same quality like targets that, like, clearly if this is a Sony first party, this is like Last of Us quality they're expecting. And if they
understand, really.
Yeah, it's just maybe they're just you guys are just not the right people for this. Like, there's a big difference between a Switch port of like The Force Unleashed and bringing out one of the a remake of one of the greatest games of all time, where the expectation would be you're seeing similar quality to The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, but how much cost must they have sunk into it already? And like someone like at Sony and Disney just decided, no, that's irrelevant. This is just so bad that we're getting over the sunk cost fallacy in our head. Like, yeah. It's just a very extreme reaction, and it must have been a very extreme.
Pull the plug. I'm guessing it wasn't just he's what we've got. I'm guessing it's he's what we've got, and then the conversation after that did not go well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, reading from the last quarter report, an Embracer board member, Matthew Karch, actually referred to the Knights of the Old Republic as a massive product. Aspyr has gone full in to make this the best game they can make. When we acquired Aspyr, we knew from the start that they would require our assistance. Saber Interactive has tremendous expertise in creating these type of products. We're fully confident that the game is going to be fantastic, but it's a massive, massive product, and massive products require a lot of effort and a lot of time to make good. And especially when you're talking about a game already old, very old, we've basically had to remake the game from scratch, he continued, before assuring we'd hear more about the game in this next several months. It sounds like they just didn't realize how big this game was going to be, and I guess if it's so old you are making it from the ground up, then I think maybe they've just had a bit of oversight in terms of the scope of it.
It feels like they've bit off more than can chew. I've just again looked at Saber Interactive. Last things they worked on of like significant note were World War Z Aftermath, which good game. We literally streamed it yesterday, but you wouldn't say it's the most polished game ever.
No.
If it has a kind of double A feel to it. The remasters of Crysis last year. Some parts of Halo stuff.
Yeah. So they're kind of in a similar position as Aspire. Just they sound like they're a bit
I'm looking
better.
for that big he's what we can do title where everything they've done seems to be largely done by someone else.
Yeah.
And then they've just moved it across.
In hindsight,
it does feel like they've just bitten off more than they can chew, to be honest.
In hindsight, I would have given it to Blue Point. Because they've proven with the Demon Souls remake that
they might end up with it.
I mean, they might get passed over if they're not working.
It's all up for grabs now, right?
Not working on their own project, but I guess we're not seeing it this year. I think it's safe to say it is not coming out late 2022 because we're in August almost, guys. So let's just push this one back a little bit. And I guess if you're going to do a remake of a classic, there's no rush because the classic will always be available out there. So the fans who are so enamoured by it are probably still playing it. Great. If you're waiting for it, there's so much other stuff to play, right? I've never played Knights of the Old Republic, and this is on my radar, like to experience it for the first time. I want it to be the best, so I'm in absolutely no rush for this one. So take your time, Aspire, Saber, whoever. we'll wait. The Sith will return, of course. Right, a few short stories to get through then, gentlemen, as we move on. We had a showcase from Annapurna this past week. A couple of games were announced in and amongst the showcase, but nothing major jumped out for me, except for one little title, a couple of indie devs on there. The Lost Wild was showcased, which looks like a terrific first-person dinosaur game. If you've watched the trailer, that's enough to kind of give you it. It was, if I can just quickly find out where the bit I was talking about was, Lost World will appease to Dino Crisis fans. Brighton-based developer Great Ape Games has created first-person survival horror in a Jurassic Park-esque dino-infested jungle, and it's available to wishlist on Steam. Is kind of all we got. But the trailer essentially shows off two kind of look like Allosauruses, I want to say, in the woods, and you're trying to find your way through. Very, again, Jurassic Park Lost World inspired, but just the graphics, the lighting, and the horror. I think we've said time and time before on the other podcast, Richie, that like, why are dinosaurs just beholden to a Jurassic Park World IP? Like they're literally monsters that have no copyright basis on them that did exist, and you can write any story background that doesn't have to center around a tourism attraction. And no one's jumped in it. We had Dino Crisis, of course, back in the day, and Turok.
Zero Dawn.
Yeah, but they're robot dinosaurs. Like I feel like there's an inherent fear from like real breathing, can sniff you out, hunt you down in the dark kind of dinosaurs, and absolutely rip you apart with their bare hands or claws in this case. There were some other games, lots of little indie games, look cute and adorable, but nothing major that stood out. We'll hear more once they do release those. Dinosaur games, guys, though, yeah? We're all over it.
Yeah, that's the one that appealed to me most of all.
For the ones I've seen.
Anything that looks like Dino Crisis vaguely is on my list.
While we wait on Dino Crisis Remake to finally become a reality, because they keep shitting out Resident Evil ones like every other year. It's like, go back and give us Dino Crisis Remastered. Please. Moving on, though, we got some more updates from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They have the free Forgotten Saga DLC, which is on the way. Sounds incredibly impressive. They put out a trailer essentially showcasing that they're going to make a roguelite game with Valhalla. Not only does Valhalla do anything and everything else, this is, of course, the biggest Assassin's Creed game to date. It's the most expanded on. It's the most money-making. Absolutely huge. The Forgotten Saga will be a new adventure that transforms Valhalla's gameplay blueprint into a mythology-based roguelite. Throughout the video, they showcase everything it's got to offer, but it's essentially, you die, you lose some of your stuff, you level up, you work your way through systematically to bigger and harder bosses. Completely free mode that's going to be dropping later this year, and it's going to kind of round out Valhalla. But if you've not already put 120 hours into this game, Richie, does a roguelite version get you back in, or are you spent on Valhalla now?
DLC rarely gets me back in, to be perfectly honest. I usually, once I finish a game, because I play quite slow through games, so once I finish a game, I'm usually ready to move on to something different. But what I'm just wondering is, if this is basically a completely different game, why don't you just make this a completely different game?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not a fan of roguelikes anyway, so I don't like the thought you die and you lose everything. That just really doesn't sit well with me as someone who spends hours in these games. Like I hated the Far Cry 6 DLC that did the same thing where it's like, oh, go and explore and level up. It's like, but if I die, I go right back to the beginning and have to start all over again with all my everything lost. Yeah. It's like, no, doesn't do it for me. But
the very, very skill focused. It's more about your skill as a player with roguelikes rather than what equipment you get through the game, which means like the first few times you'll struggle, but as you get better as a player, you can get further through it. So I think it's definitely appeal there.
Oh, definitely. It's off the back of like the Souls-inspired games as well, I think, of kind of seen that resurgence. My guess is it's just not a spin-off because it's something that could probably implement really easily. And I guess if it just sells them more copies of Valhalla, then just stick with the devil you know almost.
Yeah, but the problem, it feels like Ubisoft have got too many eggs in their Assassin's Creed Valhalla basket at the moment. And it's just like everything that comes out that seems remotely interesting from Ubisoft is Valhalla or getting delayed or cancelled.
All I can imagine
it feels like
is there's some kind of...
I mean, this could be just an experimentation, but again, with it being like the 800th DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, how many people are playing it compared to if this was just a standalone like $30 title?
Yeah, I've got to imagine there's some kind of monetization statistics that they're seeing off the back of this. So every time they drop some free content, they get loads of players who come back in or buy it for the first time, and then off the back of that they sell more cosmetics or Ubisoft coins or whatever the currency is, because like you said, it's free, so there's always got to be that business lens. How do they make money off the back of this to come into play? And I'm guessing, I mean, Valhalla was the first Assassin's Creed title to gross over $1 billion, I think it was, so something's clearly working, and they're going to stick with this until the next announcement later this September. But yeah, interesting. Rob, have you checked out Valhalla at all, out of interest?
I've put a couple of hours into it, mainly when I was like testing out PlayStation Plus when it first launched.
Oh, of course,
I have to be honest, I haven't been pulled back into it. I think because I had that and Ghost of Tsushima next to each other.
One's clearly a better game than the other.
Yeah, like Valhalla, whilst I could appreciate it's a good game objectively, it suffered in comparison next to that. So
Valhalla's an 8, Ghost of Tsushima's a solid 9. Like,
yeah, right. And it's good. It's not going anywhere on PlayStation Plus, so I'll get there eventually. But
very true.
Just not yet.
Very true. Well,
it's too big of a task as well. It's like having like a giant garden, having to cut the grass. It's like, I'll do it another time.
I've got the platinum, and I think I ended up at like 138 hours playtime to get that. So it's a big game, and I haven't touched the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC or a lot of the side free content because I think I just had my fill at that point. But you know, if you're out there and you've got your subscription, you can only afford one game per year or something, you're getting your money's worth with Valhalla. That's definitely true.
Oh yeah.
One thing we do have to wait for, next story, is we've got some blog post updates for PlayStation VR2. So of course, coming out, we don't know when, it's still on the horizon. But some of the updates they did put into play with VR, they were talking this week about see-through view, alongside broadcasting yourself whilst playing, and also customizing your play area. So some very unique features that are missing from the original PlayStation VR. Just the fact that you can click a little button and see your surroundings outside of the VR headset is a terrific thing, because when you're with family or friends, you can get scared very easily when one of them touches you on the shoulder or the arm and you don't know they're in the room. Picking something up, knocking over a table, just being able to click a button and see a render of the outside world around you for spatial awareness is a fantastic, nice little addition in there.
Yeah, it's that nice choice so you can choose when it's time you want to break the immersion of the game. So you can just go,
definitely.
I'm still in the real world. Click. Back in. Boot. Yeah, it should do some Matrix boot in screen thing just to like add a bit of cinematics to it. That'd be cool. Broadcast yourself, of course, just a little thing. If you're streaming the game, you can actually see yourself from a PlayStation camera on screen. Obviously great for content creators and stuff. Seeing people play Beat Saber in real life and you can actually see them hacking through the blocks it mirrors it quite well. I've seen a few videos on that. And then the other final thing is customize your play area. So when you are in a particular zonal part of your living room or your whatever room you're in, you can actually kind of make a little perimeter around a couch or an obstacle or a TV unit that you wouldn't want to bash into, and the actual console and the new VR headset is very conscious of if you reach the edge of that perimeter, it'll warn you that you're going outside of boundaries. Whereas, as I know with the old one, you just trip over the wire, or you back into the couch and you almost fall over, and your bearings are all off, and you take off your headset and you're in the corner of your room looking at the wall almost, or the sensors don't quite pick up the motion. So again, as with a lot of things with PSVR2, I think we're just expecting them to hone in and refine a lot of the features that the Quest and the Oculus have done since then. So very, very good.
The one feature I wish they'd get rid of is get rid of the tether.
Yes.
I don't want the wire hanging across me when I'm in VR, and it also makes it harder to set up. I just want to be able to like you get used to now having wireless controllers compared to wired ones. It's that same kind of idea. I just want to be able to pick up and go.
Yeah, I still think we're maybe one generation away from that, just purely down to a lot of the powerhouse work is done by the console. So unlike some of the other headsets where it's all done in headset, that requirement of being connected to the PS5, I think, is a must for the scope of the games they're looking to get out there. It might not render it quickly, you might not be able to get the data across in time yet, but as we know with technology, just got to be patient. Moving on, we got some updates from another PlayStation, but lots of blogs this week actually. This is just a system software update beta. It's kicked off in selected countries as of now. Not much really, but they have introduced the option to broadcast in 1440p resolution. So for those who've got your very particular niche monitors out there, I know there's a lot of PC gamers who do have them.
I'd argue 1440p is the sweet spot for PC monitors. Mm-hmm. Like 4K is kind of a luxury in the PC monitor space, because when you're sat quite close to monitor, you don't need that extra resolution. You get that diminishing returns very quickly. And the price difference and how hard it is to run a 4K monitor compared to 1440p. So this is very good implementation.
Yeah, it's been rumored for some time, and it's again with resolution, it was always just a matter of time, I think, because it's not, you don't need to do anything different other than tweak with the shape and the frame of it all. That's a good one to come. We're also getting what they're referring to as game lists. So in your game library, you can now create game lists, which will help you organize your games even easier. It's basically folders, which we've had for the last decade on PS4. I don't know why it wasn't there from the beginning, but yeah, annoyingly enough, if you want to pin things to a certain game list now, aka a folder, you can do that.
To be fair, admittedly, you don't need them as much on the PS4 5 compared to the 4, because the storage is nowhere near as useful.
Yeah, that's true.
You get more than like 3 or 4 games, and you start having to think about deleting.
Yeah, what does still bug me with the game list though is they say in the blog post that all the games under the Your Collection tab and your game library can be added to a game list. So it does actually look like it's not going to be on the home screen. It's going to be at the end of the tiles in your collection library within that. So to get to said selected folder, you still have to kind of work your way to the very end, which I feel like defeats the objective of the game list in a way, unless you can pin them.
I'm hoping that kind of, like, you know how on the PS4 when you've got a folder, if you haven't used it in a while, it just gets slowly pushed aside. I'm hoping it just works like that. And especially with cloud gaming, this is very, very, very useful.
Yes.
To just have your game.
I'm still here waiting for a search bar. Okay, so like, Don't talk to me about folders and things like that.
Yeah,
okay?
Well, we did.
That on the PC version.
Yeah, the PC version is just tiles galore. It's crazy. But there is actually some news this week about that. But I was going to save it for an episode of CloudQuest actually. So if you're a Helix hero out there, that episode may be available to you right now. But I feel your pain, Rob. I said last week the reason I hooked up my PS5, purchased an Elgato capture card, was purely because the tiles on the PC Stream browser version are just that bad. I just couldn't do it. I
use my PS4 for PlayStation Cloud because, well, first of all, it's literally on my desk in front of me, so I'm attached to the monitor right in front of me.
Is it?
So all I need to do is change the source from my monitor, and then it's good to go.
Is it a 1440p monitor though, Richie?
It's not. It's 1080p.
Well, there you go. This update won't help you then. But I tell you what, you could do. You could take it on the go. Next star of the week, we got a PlayStation official introduction from Backbone, the company who make the third-party controllers for playing on the go. Inspired by the look of the new PlayStation DualSense wireless controller, play your PlayStation games on iPhone through PlayStation Remote Play with ease. So introducing the Backbone PlayStation Edition. For those who've not seen a Backbone before, it essentially just turns your phone into a little portable controller. Anyone familiar with our channel will know me and Richie are quite fond of the Razer Kishi using cloud gaming. However, it looks like PlayStation are trying to get a bit more in on that mobile gameplay. with a customized PlayStation-styled controller. Rob, I'll throw it over to you. As someone who doesn't actually have the console, where are you sitting at the moment with taking this on the go? Just hook your phone up to it and play games.
I mean, it would be great if there was an Android version.
Yeah, that is a good point. It's iPhone only, which
the key thing
is going to limit us somewhat. I think all three of us rock Android phones.
You know what the worst thing about this with being Android Apple only is? The EU are legislating to get rid of the to force Apple to adopt USB-C, so this is going to be redundant. So they would have been better off going with USB-C from the start.
Yeah, and the extra thing as well is if this is kind of like the first step into like PlayStation Plus being on the go, this is now like the closest thing to a DualSense controller that actually works on PlayStation Plus that is available compared to...
So there are obviously caveats to that. At the moment, there is no mobile version of PlayStation Plus on the go, which is kind of why during CloudQuest we'll probably allure to PlayStation evolving cloud gaming and incorporating into this, because for me, a portable controller that's PlayStation branded like this would point them in the direction of they're going to look at getting their whole brand new refreshed PlayStation Plus cloud lineup on the go, because it seems so crazy that you can't access it on your phone. But we'll talk about that in that episode.
Such like an oversight.
The irony of it having the Lightning iPhone part, of course, it seems crazy, but then realistically, there's still 50, 60 million iPhones out there in the wild that are actively being used. So as far as market share goes, it might be old tech it's using, but isn't the point of this portability that you would use existing tech and not brand new?
I pulled up a few numbers actually. This is from Tech Republic. The article's from May the 12th, 2021. The US market share is iOS is 59.17%, Android 40.54%. Worldwide, it's 72.2% Android and only 26.99% iOS. So the Apple integration, Apple market share is very much a US phenomenon.
I mean, they are an American company, so there's that too.
They are, but I mean, Sony are a Japanese company, so you could argue this is a global
sizes.
thing.
What I would put it down to, if I was to hazard a guess using my experience, is if you're designing a product, there's only a small selection of iPhones every year. 3, 4, 6 maybe if you could factor in some of the older ones. So for size dynamics and form fitting, you can probably knock that up a lot quicker than the 100 million different Android phones out there that you've got to accommodate for shape, size, dimension. So I think when they've gone to the drawing board, as you said, think of a big market. PlayStation's huge as well in the United States. I think just sheerly from a turnaround time, I don't think the Android one will be that far away, but we've seen, using my Samsung Ultra in my Razer Kishi, it barely fits in with that camera bezel. Imagine how many different ones are there. So I think just purely from a release standpoint, they could probably turn this one around quicker.
To be honest, I would probably say, for me, if I was the lead designer on this, I would have this needs to be future-proofed. So you need to put a decent amount of extra, which is where I think the Kishi Gen 1 went wrong, where they didn't really think about how phones may change. They just kind of went, oh, what's the biggest phone in the market? That'll fit without a case. But anyway,
it's interesting.
I'm sure we'll see an Android one soon.
Oh, absolutely. It does look cool. I do like the seeing the actual PlayStation button symbols on them rather than your generic X, Y, B, Z. For me, though, I think when cloud gaming's fully committed to it and the price comes down a little bit, I think, Richie, we've gone back and forth with the Razer Kishi, but asking for $100 for
I've straight up called it stupid pricing, to be honest.
When a DualSense controller is, $65-70? So it's £30 more than the actual controller that comes with the motion sensors, the haptic feedbacks, the 3D, all of the features that come with the DualSense are not apparent in this, but because it attaches to your phone, it's £30 more. But it's got less features than the actual product it's trying to mirror. Yeah,
it's tech enthusiast price for something that should be a mass market product.
Yeah.
This, for me, I think a reasonable price would be £40. I wouldn't pay more than that for it, to be perfectly honest.
It does look cool, though. I want to check out a Backbone at some point, but not yet. Not until cloud gaming's bought into it. Moving on, though, final few stories of the week. Just a quick couple of ones we'll touch on. Unfortunately, the Gollum game I was talking about it, guys. It was due out on my birthday. I was going to sit down with Smeagol and go on a little Middle-earth adventure. Well, apparently there's a long way to go yet. The Gollum game has been delayed by a few further months. Daedalic, the developers of the game, put out a tweet essentially saying that it's going to take some more time in the oven. They did one of those big press statement things where it's just like a static image posted out on Twitter. Reading direct from it. First of all, we'd like to thank you all for your patience and support so far. Over the last years, our team has been working hard to bring you a remarkable story in a breathtaking world filled with magic and wonder. We're dedicated to meeting our community's expectations and uncovering the untold story of Gollum in a way that honours the vision of J.R.R. Tolkien. That being said, in order to deliver the best possible experience, we've decided to push the release of Lord of the Rings Gollum by a few months. We'll update you with an exact timing in the near future. We are grateful for our passionate community and we cannot wait to share this unique adventure with you all soon. So, precious time required, gentlemen, to this game. I know we actually said it was probably going to ride high on the waves of Amazon's TV series. Looks like they're going to miss that. Looks like they're going to miss that boat after all. No surprise, I guess. Visually, what do you think, Richie?
I don't really have strong thoughts on this, to be honest. If it needs more time in the oven, take more time. I would rather a developer delay a game away from this ideal launch window, but produce a better game than go, let's capitalise on the hype of a different project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'd argue that the game doesn't have like massive expectations attached to it.
Yeah,
and there's not that kind of crush. Aside from the Amazon show, there's not like a crushing pressure or kind of need to throw it out when it, like as soon as possible. So if they need to take a few moments, then
yeah, it's an interesting one because this was the first next gen only game that was revealed. So like way back before PS5 and Series X were actually out. This was the first game to be like next gen only, and then we're now nearly 2 years in to that cycle, and it's still kind of waiting for it. But like I said, it's a smaller team. We'll see what's happening with Gollum, but looks like I'll just be playing Last of Us on my birthday instead. Actually,
oh damn!
Actually, scratch that. We'll all just be getting drunk at a party instead, rather than playing games.
Yeah.
Final one: Goat Simulator 3. The sequel to Goat Simulator 1. It's just had a release date as well. PlayStation 5, Series X, PC, and the like on 17th of November. Of course, we saw this revealed with a tease at the Game Awards, tricking us all into thinking it was Dead Island, and then it turned out just to be Goat Simulator, having a good laugh about it. So November 17th, not too long to wait till you can go and knock some heads with those goats out there.
Well, no, I'm getting for my birthday then.
Oh yeah, of course. So I get Last of Us remake, and you can have Goat Simulator.
Goat Simulator.
Well, each to their own. But that does bring us to an end of this week's episode of Talking the PS, where we've rounded up all the PlayStation news, hopefully for your listening and viewing pleasure, right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games. Don't forget, you can also get this podcast available on audio services, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, if you're one of those Deezer folks out there, the Deezer geezers.
Who?
Deezer.
Who's on Deezer?
I don't know who's on Deezer, but they are on podcast services, Google Podcasts and everything like that. Do reviews if you listen on Spotify. We do appreciate giving us a 5-star review. And if not, jump into the comments on YouTube and tell us what we can do to improve it, of course. We are always trying to get our audio in check, our cameras balanced, our lighting right, just for you. And we can do all that thanks to our wonderful Helix heroes out there who do support the channel that extra little bit more, and they get all the perks, exclusive early access to content that we can spare. Gentlemen, that's been it. Thank you very, very much. Once again, we'll be back next week for episode 8. Am I on episode 8, Richie? I can't remember. We haven't figured it out yet, I don't think.
It'll depend on recording schedules, because you're going on holiday soon, so we need to figure it out.
I'm going on my first proper holiday without Richie for the first time in 3 years, so that seems weird to say out loud, but it's true. We will be back.
Last time we went on holiday, his wife couldn't go, so he went and he took me instead.
I didn't take you instead. You were also invited.
Yeah, you were going anywhere, Richie.
Yeah, I was going
anywhere. Makes it sound like we're too close of a friends. Anyway, though, we'll be back for episode 8 next week on the channel. Don't forget to check out the Sounds of Stadia podcast and our live streams and all the great other content. If you do want to chat with like-minded gamers like the three of us, jump into our Discord. There's plenty of people talking about all things gaming. And with that said, my name's been Chris.
I've been Richie.
And I've been Rob.
We've been Helix Cloud Games, talking the PS. Thank you very much, everyone. Don't forget to play whatever makes you the happiest. Have a great week. See you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.